Ever feel like, your walk doesn't quite match your talk, like you want to be a good Christian, but actually living it out every day is tough. That's what's so cool about this Spurgeon sermon, Christ's people imitators of him. It really gets that struggle.
It's a struggle that's been around forever.
Right.
And Spurgeon, way back then, just nailed it.
He really did. He's so direct. It's like, okay, here's what a believer should be. Here's when you got to be that way. He even tells us why it matters. And then the big one, how to actually do it.
A total guidebook, not just a pep talk.
Exactly. And, oh man, the analogies he uses, get ready for Christians as artists and sculptors. It's wild.
Classic Spurgeon. He always finds these creative ways to explain those deep ideas.
So true. Okay, let's get into it. What does Spurgeon say a Christian should be? He uses this phrase, striking likeness of Christ.
It can't be a mystery to people, Our lives, they should be like a living biography of Jesus.
Oh, I like that. A living biography.
So clear that you just, instantly recognize it.
It's not just saying the words, it's reflecting Christ so clearly that people see the resemblance.
Exactly. And he names the specific qualities we should be aiming for. He starts with boldness. Like Peter and John, remember, standing up to authority, not afraid to speak the truth.
Not just being nice, but standing up for what's right even when it's hard.
Exactly. Spurgeon even uses one of Jesus' own examples. Remember when Jesus preached about election, even though it was controversial?
Oh, right. For anyone who might not know, election in this context is about God choosing certain people for salvation. Still a tough topic.
Totally. And yet, Jesus didn't back down. He spoke truth even when it was unpopular. And Spurgeon saying, hey, we need that same boldness.
Wow, so boldness is key. But then he brings in this other crucial thing, love. Not just any love, but the kind that shows in how we treat people, even the difficult ones.
He contrasts this with what he calls Crabtree Christians.
Crabtree Christians.
Yeah, I always picture them all prickly and harsh. Instead of drawing people to Christ, they're driving them away.
Ouch. I think we've all met a few of those.
Right.
So it's not just about speaking truth, but doing it with love and kindness.
Absolutely. And then, get this, he talks about humility. That powerful image of Tapas washing his disciples' feet.
Yeah. So radical for that time, overturning all the social norms.
And Spurgeon's point is, that's what we're called to. As followers of Christ, we need that same radical humility, putting others first, forgetting about pride, and thinking we're better than anyone.
No climbing the ladder, but stooping down to help each other up.
Exactly. So we've got boldness, love, humility, and of course he can't leave out holiness.
Right, holiness.
That's where he digs deep into reflecting Christ's character. Zeal, self-denial, devotion, and above all, forgiveness of enemies.
Forgiveness, especially when we've been hurt, can feel impossible. But Spurgeon says something really interesting. He says forgiveness is actually a mark of being like God.
Like we're replacing our human instincts with something higher. That's the transformative power of faith, right?
Wow. Okay, so that's a beautiful picture of what a Christian should look like. Bold, loving, humble, and holy. But I have a feeling Spurgeon doesn't stop there. I bet he has some strong opinions about when we should be putting all this into action.
Oh, Spurgeon, always more to say. And trust me, this one might surprise you. Oh, you better believe it. He's not going to let us off easy with just Sundays, that's for sure.
Oh, no, I figured not. So what does he say?
Authentic faith, he says, it's not about church walls or rituals. He even jokes, he's like, if religion was just for Sundays, we'd need beds in churches.
Okay, so he's saying our faith should be 24/7, no breaks.
No break. He's against that whole compartmentalizing thing, like putting on your Christian face only for certain times and places.
So where does he say we should be reflecting Christ?
Well, he gets super specific. He names 4 key areas where it really matters. First up, public life.
Public life, okay.
Everything we do out in the world, actions, words, it's all being watched.
Oh, for sure. It's like representing something bigger than yourself. People are always looking.
Exactly. They might not get all the theological stuff, but they can tell if you're walking the walk. Spurgeon says we're ambassadors for Christ, like it or not.
Ooh, yeah, that's a lot of pressure. Okay, so public life. What about inside the church itself? Anything to say about that?
Oh, definitely. How we treat each other in the church community. He talks about all the traps we can fall into, gossip, power struggles, wanting to be the best Christian.
Oh, yeah, that's so easy to do. If it's human nature or something to compare and compete.
It is, but Spurgeon pulls us back to that image of Jesus, right? Washing feet. He says, true Christian community, it's all about service, humility, treating everyone like equals.
Not about climbing the ladder, but helping each other up.
Exactly. And then, this one might be the toughest. He talks about home life.
Oh, home life. Okay, yeah.
He says this is where it really counts.
It's one thing to look good in public, but at home, that's where your real character shows.
Absolutely. The atmosphere of our homes, he says it should be different, noticeable.
Noticeably different, okay.
How we treat family, people who work for us, even our pets, it should all reflect Christ's love and grace.
He even mentions pets.
Even the dog and cat, he says, should be better off.
Oh, wow, that's great.
He had a sense of humor, right?
Yeah.
But the point is serious. If our faith doesn't change how we treat those closest to us, then, what's it really about?
Wow, that's deep. Okay, so we've got public life, church life, home life. What's the fourth area?
This one's a bit more internal, our secret life.
Secret life, okay.
It's all that stuff nobody else sees, our personal devotion, prayer, those quiet moments.
It's funny, it's like with social media today, there's so much pressure to look perfect all the time.
I know, right? But Spurgeon's like, hey, true faith, it's about what's going on in your heart, those secret places where only God sees.
That's a good point. So it sounds like there's no off switch for being a Christian, according to Spurgeon. Every part of life, it all matters.
No off switch. He doesn't give us any excuses, does he? But I think some people listening might be like, wait, why all this effort? Like, what's the point of all this striving to be like Jesus?
That's a fair question. Spurgeon must have some pretty good reasons if he wants us living this way all the time.
Oh, he does. And even more relevant today than back then, I think. Get ready for some serious motivation when we tackle the why in part 3.
All right, so we've covered the what and the when of imitating Christ, according to Spurgeon. But now the big question, why? Why bother with all this, trying so hard to be like Jesus? Life's already hard enough as it is.
That's where Spurgeon really gets you. He doesn't just give orders, he gives you reasons. Real motivations, like speaking to your heart.
Okay, I'm ready. Hit me with some inspiration.
Okay, so first off, he says it's for our own good. Not just, to score points with God, but because reflecting Christ's character actually makes for a happier, more fulfilling life.
So it's not about being like a goody two-shoes. It's about actually finding true happiness and peace.
Yeah. Think about those qualities Spurgeon talks about. Boldness, love, humility, holiness. Those aren't just random rules. They're principles that lead to better relationships, more resilience, real purpose.
Like he's saying, hey, want to level up your life? Try living like Jesus.
Exactly. Who doesn't want a happier life?
Right. Okay, so imitating Christ is good for us personally. But what about the bigger picture? Does Spurgeon talk about that?
Oh, yeah, he does. And this is where it gets interesting. He says, imitating Christ, it's crucial for the sake of our faith as a whole.
I can see that. I mean, we've all met those people, right? Claim to be Christians, but their actions don't match up.
Totally. And the inconsistency, Spurgeon says, it hurts Christianity's reputation more than any outside attack ever could.
Yeah, like we're giving ammo to the doubters.
Exactly. But when we live out our faith authentically, actions matching words, that's a powerful witness. It shows the real deal.
We become like walking, talking proof that Christ's love is real.
I love that. And that brings us to, honestly, Spurgeon's most powerful reason. We imitate Christer, for Christ's sake.
Wow. Yeah, not duty, not obligation, but love and gratitude for the one who gave everything for us.
Spurgeon, he uses this image, picture Jesus, showing his wounds. He's asking, will you not love me? Will you not live for me?
It's personal, like a direct appeal to the heart. This isn't about rules. It's about responding to this incredible love.
And when you really get that love, then living for him, reflecting his character, it's not a chore anymore. It's just natural. It overflows from that gratitude.
So we have these 3 reasons: for our own well-being, for the good of our faith, and ultimately out of love for Christ.
It all ties together, doesn't it?
It really does. This whole deep dive has honestly made me think hard about how I'm living my faith. It's not about being perfect, but about continually trying to be more like Jesus.
And Spurgeon, I think he'd remind us, it's a journey, not a finish line. We're always growing, learning, becoming more and more like Christ.
He'd be happy to see us wrestling with these questions, even today. Shows his words still have power. Challenging us, inspiring us to live lives that really reflect Christ.
And on that note, I think we'll leave our listeners with a final thought from Spurgeon. He asks, what would the angels see when they look at you? Would they recognize the likeness of Christ?
Wow, that's a powerful question, something to think about. May we all strive to live in a way that the answer is a resounding yes. I see 3:1.